You've been lied to. I've been lied to. We all have been lied to. Every January, every new Monday, every fresh start, the time where you take out a piece of paper and you write out all of your goals, and then you feel motivated for about 72 hours, and then life happens. Things get in the way, and before you know it, your sheet of paper with all of your goals gets buried underneath everything else. And then a week or two later, you feel completely frustrated, further behind, and more discouraged than ever. And I bet you even get to the point where you're wondering if there's something wrong with you. Well, I have some good news for you. I don't think there's anything wrong with you at all. However, I think your system may be broken. Did you know statistically, when it comes to New Year's resolutions, that 80%, 8 out of 10 people that set New Year's resolutions, they set goals for the year, by week two, they've already fallen off the bandwagon. They're already behind. And it's like that insanity cycle where you keep doing the same thing over and over at the beginning of each year and you expect different results. What if there was a whole new approach? What if there was a completely different way to focus on being intentional for the year? And it's not goal setting. Well, today I'm excited to share with you what I've learned from the book, The One Word by John Gordon. And it's titled The One Word That Will Change Your Life. In today's episode, I'm going to give you the practical steps you can take to file goal setting to the side and insert a new system that doesn't focus on all your goals and aspirations. But what if you started to focus on becoming the type of person who could achieve those things? And what if you had one word or one theme for the year that would help you grow into the person that you desire to become? So this was a completely foreign topic to me. And from 2007 to 2015, I was completely stuck in my business. I got my first coach, and that was helpful. And yet, here's what was also helpful. I read this book by John Gordon, and I thought, you know what? I keep getting the same results year after year. Obviously, setting goals in the traditional way, where I just list out everything that I desire to achieve that year, is not working for me. So after 7 years, I decided that I was going to switch it up and do something different, thankfully. And so I read this book. And the word that I decided on in 2016, a decade ago now, was the word growth. And the word growth, I chose in advance for that to be my word that I was going to focus on and study the entire year. That would be my theme for the year. And for me, I prayed about it and I had a sense of connection to that word. So I didn't just pick a random word out of the thin air on that one. This was a word that I personally prayed about and I put a lot of thought into because this was going to be my overarching theme for the year. So my word was growth. I did a Google search on the word growth and I landed on a book by John Maxwell called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And one of the things that really resonated with me in that book, it's a green book, is he talked about a positive growth environment. And he had 15 or 20 different things that would be a description of a positive growth environment. And even though I loved the people that I was at, the office I was out of, and all of that was fine, I knew those folks and had relationships, and I was there for 7 years, my first 7 years in my career at that point. I just had this sense after praying and really thinking about it that I needed to reposition myself and be in a different environment, an environment that reminded me a little bit more like what John Maxwell mentioned in his book. And so I made a big decision that year to actually move across the street I moved from Coldwell Banker over to Keller Williams. And that word, here's my point, that word became so special to me and still is because I would pray about that word that year. I made a big career change, not a change in my career, but a location for my career. And that was significant. And then I still have it on my bookshelf actually, and it says 2016 growth. And I wrote right next to growth, because you want to define the word that you choose to land on. I wrote, be intentional about it. And so I grew into that word. And looking back in 2016, I grew so much spiritually and in my understanding of the word grow. And in my life, it became the overarching theme. I remember I got a bracelet with the word grow on it. I started study the word grow from a biblical standpoint. And it's like that word grow began to follow me around all year. And so here's something I would like to share with you, that the core concept of the book, The One Word That Changes Your Life, is this: it becomes a filter for the entire year for every decision that you make, and a compass pointing you to who you desire to become. So this is a word that really becomes your focal point. And I love this simplicity. I feel like the power is in the simplicity of choosing a singular word to work on. And I think this is important because in today's time, in today's culture, there's so much stuff going on in the world. I mean, just flip open Facebook, get on social media. It's so easy to get caught up in everything that's going on in the world. And here's the challenge: that by focusing on all the problems going on in the world, it will absolutely rob you of the energy required to change the problems going on in your world. I can't change all the problems out there, but I do have some impact, and I can make a difference for myself and those in my household in solving some of the problems going on in here. So I think one of the challenge when it comes to not having a theme or a word for the year is that there's too much stuff to focus on. When it comes to goal setting, usually, I don't know about you, but for me, I don't just pick one goal. It's like I choose all of these goals and I have this what becomes an overwhelming long list that's too complicated. And a confused mind takes no action. Us human beings, when things feel complicated or complex, we shut down and we tend not to engage. And then there's like the motivational myth, thinking that, man, if I just get more motivated and I'm more tenacious and I just listen to Jocko Willink and David Goggins, the Navy SEALs that are just drivers and just go make it happen, that type of approach, even though I love those guys and I believe that there is some truth to what they say, sometimes just being more motivated is not the answer. In fact, it reminds me of like work. Some people just say, well, work harder at it, be more tenacious. Okay, well, that may be the case. It may serve you well to work harder if effort is your challenge. Yes, work harder. But wouldn't it be silly to work harder on the things that are not working? Like, that's not going to move the needle forward for you and your family. So just the idea of like the myth of motivation, that just be more motivated, that's not going to work. And then there's outcome versus identity. Goals tell you what to do. However, when it comes to your identity, who you are in your core, this is a word who shapes who you become. Like, that's what it's about. It reminds me in the beginning, in the book of Genesis, I've been studying the first 3 chapters all year. And it says, be fruitful. And then God goes on to share some other things. But the first part of it is become. Who are you choosing to become this year? Goals tell you what to do. It's all that external stuff. But a word that you choose to focus on helps shape who you become. So I'm curious. I wrote down a question for you. What's one goal that you set with the best of intentions that you've completely abandoned already this year looking back? What's one goal you've completely abandoned? No judgment. We've all been there, right? So this is like Planet Fitness, judgment free. Share in the comments. I would love to hear from you when it comes to a goal that you set that you've already completely abandoned. So here's what I love about choosing one word to focus on. I love that it's simple, it's not complex. Choosing one word, it has like this sticky factor, meaning that you could write it down, you can get bracelet, you could keep the word in front of you, and it's easy to remember one word and you had a whole list of goals, not so easy to remember. And this could become a daily anchor. So maybe you've seen it before where you write your word on your mirror so you see it every morning when you brush your teeth, or you put it on a post-it note in the corner of your computer at your office. You can keep that word in front of you every single day, and it becomes like a daily anchor for you. And then also it helps provide you some clarity amongst the chaos, meaning think about your life, all the things going on in your world and the world. With goals, it's easy to lose track of them. With one word, you won't lose track of one word. And I love this. Actually, I have it hanging on my wall over here. For me, I love one-liners. I love things that rhyme, that are easy to remember. And so for me, one of the things I like to tell myself is that it's progress over perfection. Progress over perfection. So give up the idea and the illusion of being perfect. That's not going to happen. There was only one perfect person that walked on water, and his name is Jesus, right? So give up this idea of perfection and be committed to progress. So one of the things I love about progress instead of perfection is that it's not about accomplishing the whole list of goals, but it is about making progress and to become the type of person you aspire to become. And this is intentional living. I mean, that's actually the title of another John Maxwell book that's solid. Intentional living. That's the concept of one word really means that you're being intentional for your whole entire year. So think about this. When you choose one word to focus on, what if that impacted the books that you would choose to read? What if it impacted the podcast that you choose to listen to? What if it that became your theme for your personal and professional growth for that year? So I want to give some examples. I shared the one that I chose in 2016, and my one for 2025 has been the word thrive. And I like to find some roots for my word from a biblical perspective because I am a follower of Jesus. And so after a Google search and asking chat and digging into it, I end up landing on the verse John 10:10. So for me personally, I have my word thrive all year, and then I tie it to a a Bible verse, and then I internalize that Bible verse. So the Bible verse that I connected my word thrive to this year is this. It's John 10:10. The enemy comes not, but to steal, kill, and destroy. And then Jesus says that I have come that you have life and have it more abundantly, or to the fullest. So with your one word, what if you what if you expand on that and you tie it in to a Bible verse so you begin to understand it at a deeper level? What I would like to do now is give you a few words and give you an example on how you could take one word and expand on it to make it more meaningful for you. So I wrote down 5 words. I wrote down the word focus, patience, growth, discipline, and balance. So for example, the word focus, what it could look like in action is this: eliminate distractions, say no to good opportunities so you could say yes to great ones, single task instead of multitask. And maybe you choose to read one of my favorite books ever on focus called The One Thing, written by Gary Keller. Another example might be patience. Maybe you desire to become a more patient person for this year. I smile on that one and kind of chuckle because it's one of those things. Sometimes you got to be a little bit careful what you pray for and what you ask for, right? Meaning that if you ask for patience, God may give you more opportunities to be a patient person. However, for patience, I wrote out respond instead of react, pause before speaking in heated moments when you feel your emotions start to rise, and trust the process and timeline. And maybe for that one, you could choose the verse from the Bible, be quick to listen and slow to speak. Another example could be discipline. That could look like show up consistently, especially when you don't feel like it. Instead of when you don't feel like it, build systems and routines, honor your commitments to yourself, be a promise keeper. And then another example is balance. You could have something like this: set boundaries without guilt, protect your energy, make time for rest as intentionally as you make time for work and other things. So I'm curious, out of the word like patience, growth, discipline, balance, abundance, thrive, intentional, there's so many words that you could choose. And yet, is there a word that that's already standing out to you in today's podcast episode? Is there a word that popped in your mind as soon as you started hearing what this video is about? If so, share it with me in the comments. I would love to hear from you and the word that you're thinking on already. So now let's talk about, like, here's some practical steps that you could choose to land on a word. Number one, you could think about what you perceive as missing in your life right now. Like, identify the gaps of where you are and who you desire to be. What would make the biggest difference in your life right now if that thing were present? Number two, like, what area are you struggling with the most? Your pain points reveal potential growth points. What keeps tripping you up? Like, if looking back over this year, is there a pattern that you've recognized about yourself where it's like you keep struggling with the same thing over and over? That may be an indication that there's an opportunity for you to pick a word that can help you gain progress and traction in that area. And then the third one, when it comes to reflective questions to land on a word that would be meaningful, is who do you want to become? Fast forward 1 year, what word describes the future version of who you would be the most proud of? So here's the thing. Here's like some pro tips on this one. And I've wrestled with this one because it's like, okay, can I pick more than one word? Well, here's my best advice. Keep it to one word. Don't complicate it by adding more words, right? I believe John Gordon titled his book One Word on Purpose. So force yourself to choose just one word. Number two is make it meaningful. This should be something that connects to you on a deeper level, not just to sound impressive to others. This is personal to you. And then the next one I wrote out is choose something slightly uncomfortable. Like, choose one that is really an opportunity for you to level up in. Don't choose one that you feel like you've already mastered and that you excel in. Maybe choose one word that could cause you to grow the most this year. Choose a word that's out of your comfort zone. Growth always happens out of your comfort zone. So don't choose a word that makes you comfortable. Choose a word that's going to cause you to grow. So let's do something right now. Like, maybe even pause this episode, whether you're listening to it on YouTube or over on Spotify or iTunes. Pause the episode if you need to and ask yourself, what's one area of your life that if you improved it, it would make your entire life better? What's one area that if you chose to focus on, it would make your entire life better? I like to put things in categories. So let's focus on these five. Maybe it's the word faith. And the best thing that you could do this year is get more clear on what it is you believe and who you are, your identity when it comes to your faith. Maybe that would be the highest and best use of your time, to focus on a word that would move the needle in that category. Maybe it's your family. You're in a season where it's time to put more to strengthen and build relationships with your loved one, your family and friends. What if you chose a word that would cause you to grow in your intentionality to strengthen and build the relationships with those that you love the most? So faith, family. Maybe it's when it comes to your fitness. Maybe you're not proud of where you are and maybe your health is declining, whether it's your mental health or your physical health. Maybe this is a year that you need to start taking care of you. It's like the being on the airplane, right? Where they come out and they walk you through in the case of emergency, do these things. What do they say about that oxygen mask? Who do they say to put that on first? They always say the same thing. If there's a change, a sudden change in the air cabin pressure, the oxygen mask will deploy from the ceiling and put it on yourself first and then help the person next to you. Maybe you're in a season with your health and fitness where the highest and best use of your time is taking care of you. What if you chose a word that would help you focus on taking care of you this year? Next is maybe it's your finances. Maybe your finances are not in a place that you desire, and you desire to make some changes significantly this year when it comes to your finances. That's another key area. So those are just some ideas of categories that you may consider. So like, okay, so you at this point, I trust that you see the benefit of changing the system of the traditional goal setting and moving towards a one word theme for the entire year that will cause you to grow. We talked about some words that you could choose. Maybe at this point you've chose a word to focus on the entire year. And yet, what do you do next once you land on that word? Here's a few things that I wrote down. Number one, write that word out. Meaning that what if each day when you journal or when you're in front of your paper calendar or in front of your notepad on your desk, whatever the situation is, what if every day you made it a point to write that word and keep it in front of you? One of the things that I got from a friend of mine, an idea, I got this from a friend of mine named Steve Johns. Shout out to Steve. Is this on my Google Calendar? I have my word thrive for this year, not my new word for next year. I'm still working on that one. And yet, all year, I've had the word thrive as a reoccurring 15-minute appointment early in the morning, 5 a.m. And it shows up in green because green reminds me of growth. So I chose that color intentionally and it says thrive and it shows up every morning. And I get a reminder at 5 a.m. for my word this year, thrive. So what if you set a Google reminder that every day you have a system that reminds you your word? And I would encourage you to use this word as a filter meaning that when you think about your personal growth and development, you theme off the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the conferences you choose to go to. Choose ones that are in alignment with that word. And maybe you have a time, whether it's morning or evening, it could look different, where you ask yourself, did I honor my word today? What did I learn? How can I celebrate a win or two? Or maybe it's like the forward thing, right? Is there an opportunity to learn from something I missed that day with no judgment? And then I would encourage you to share your word, make it a part of your conversation. And it's amazing how many people could be inspired, where I know so many people now where at the end of one year transitioning into the new year, that they're like me, they choose one word to focus on. And so what if you became the person in your circle of influence, the people who like, know, and trust you, where you help them choose the word to focus on. And when you talk to them, you ask them like, hey, how's your word going? What have you learned about that? What if that became a focal point in the conversations that you have with the people you're in a relationship with? So I'm curious now. I would like to hear from you in the comments. With your word, where's one place that you could write it to keep it in front of you all the time? Share that idea you have with me in the comments below. So here's some like key takeaways, practical steps, things I just want you to keep in mind. So here's the reality check. By choosing one word, it's not going to magically change your life overnight, right? That's just not realistic. It's not going to happen. This is not a magic pill. This is a tool to help you be intentional about your progress this year. And yet the power is real. The significance of it, I promise, looking back, you'll be glad that you did this. Your word changes how you think and act over time. Be patient with yourself. And I wrote this out, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Great book, by the way. It's the daily decisions that you make day after day that compound and add up. Rarely in life as human beings do we make these huge, significant changes in a day, but you can make progress daily. You can make progress daily. And that's what the one word is about. It's about making these micro adjustments and making progress day after day. So let's end with this. What is one small action step that you can take today, or at least within the next 24 hours if you're watching this late, right after this episode ends, that aligns with your word? Don't wait till the next Monday. Don't even wait till the next year. Don't wait for January. What can you do in the next hour that moves you towards who you desire to become? What's the one thing that you could do? Send me a message or mention it in the comments below. And remember this. Here's my final thought today. One word, one focus, 1 year. Your transformation starts with a single decision. Choose your one word and focus on it all this year. By the way, if you've stuck to the end, I want to thank you. And will you do me a favor? Will you hit the subscribe button right now if you're not subscribed? And who do you know that could come on this journey with you, that may be in a spot similar to you in this season of life, that you could share this video with? And then maybe give them an invite after they watch it and meet up with them over lunch or a cup of coffee and start the conversation with that person about their one word, and you share yours with them. We'll see you next time.